Welcome to the Answers for Elders radio show. Meet the trusted experts who will give you straight answers and will help guide you on the path of later life care. Now, here's your host, founder, caregiver, and CEO, Suzanne Newman.
And welcome everyone to Answers for Elders radio network on this Thanksgiving weekend. And I hope each and every one of you had a lovely Thanksgiving dinner with family and friends. And, you know, we also had a very impactful person that left us this week. And I'm going to read a quote by Rosalynn Carter. And it says, "There are only four kinds of people in this world: those who have been caregivers, those that are caregivers, those who will be caregivers, or those who will need caregivers." This month, we have been celebrating and acknowledge, and most importantly, thanking those that are taking care of loved ones. And if you know of someone that is an unpaid family caregiver that makes sacrifices for a loved one, first of all, we hope, like everything, that you'll pay attention to this show, because we're going to talk a lot about the experiences that you may not realize that they go through. I always call caregivers the unsung heroes, because they don't really talk about all the sacrifices that they make to make the quality of life of their loved one as best as it can be. And we're honored to have my sister, soul sister, I call her, who is part of the Answers for Elders family and senior resource, Ms. Lori La Bey of Alzheimer's Speaks. And Lori, welcome back to Answers for Elders. I always love when you come on the show.
Well, and I love being here. We always have a good time. And I feel like, the energy, we just kind of caregiving can be so difficult. And, I think we bring a calmness and a healing, and this feeling that people aren't alone.
Yeah. And, Rosalynn Carter really raised awareness. And I really wanted to take this first segment and talk a little bit about what she accomplished. And I think a lot of us in the world don't necessarily know what an impact she was to educate about the world of caregiving. Lori, what do you think? What do you think of when you think of Rosalynn, since you've been in this work for a long time?
I just think of this sweet, compassionate soul, somebody who saw the bigger picture way before it was okay to talk about, and really saw the need to have this conversation to make the world comfortable in terms of even recognizing that you need help, or that you're giving help, or, whatever it might be. And I loved her quote, that everyone's going to fall into this net at one time or another, and there's no escaping it. And there shouldn't be any shame associated with it. People shouldn't have to feel overwhelmed or have to hide it. And we should all still be able to live authentic lives through it. That's part of being human. That's part of society. That's part of living in community. And I think Rosalynn really understood the true meaning of living in community, where you help one another, you support one another, and you do that through kindness.
Yeah. And, Rosalynn Carter actually founded the Rosalynn Carter Institute for Family Caregivers. And, what her foundation does is it provides programs for education and resources, so that when you're doing, your day-to-day work as a family caregiver, you're going through a lot of things. And I really wanted to start out this hour by reading, if you go to the Rosalynn Carter Institute for Family Caregivers website, this is on the very first page with a lovely picture of Rosalynn, but I'm going to read this to all of our listeners. It says, "The world knows Rosalynn Carter as a former First Lady, global humanitarian, and the love of President Carter's life. What is less known is that Mrs. Carter's commitment to create a more caring society by recognizing and supporting some of its most vulnerable populations. She was dedicated to families navigating the burdens and rewards of caring for those who are aging, ill, or disabled. Mrs. Carter recognized that taking care of another person was more than simply an everyday duty of family and those who selflessly cared for families and friends, caregivers, were often overlooked. These realizations led Mrs. Carter to become a champion for caregivers, and she continued her efforts on their behalf beyond her time in public service. And so in 1987, Mrs. Carter founded the Rosalynn Carter Institute for Caregivers, RCI, to support the unique needs of family caregivers who selfishly cared for family and friends, and build on her belief that everyone is a caregiver now, has been a caregiver, or will either be or need a caregiver in the future. Over the last 36 years, RCI has grown to support all unpaid caregivers, which number more than 53 million people in the United States. Her efforts have fostered RCI's national expansion, increased awareness of the challenges facing family caregivers, and has positioned caregivers as a vital part of our nation's public health system. Mrs. Carter dedicated her life to her family, her faith, and to helping others. Her spirit will continue to inhabit everything that we do at the Institute created in her name. We at the Rosalynn Carter Institute have been honored to know her and will work each and every day to continue in her spirit the good work she started. She would have it no other way.
Wow.
Isn't that something? It's absolutely, I wanted to talk about caregivers. We've been talking about caregivers all this month, Lori, but you think about all of the things that we just take for granted, or we don't realize all the hard work. And so much she did was behind the scenes to acknowledge some of those that are behind the scenes. And so, Lori, I know that you are, work with caregivers, and tell me a little bit about, I guess, what you would find the most common theme in today, as far as
Well,
that.
I still think people battle feeling alone.
Mm-hmm.
And not supported, not this sense of community that Rosalynn really was trying to pull together.
Mm-hmm.
I still think that there is this kind of hiddenness, or within a family, you're in charge, you
Mm-hmm.
got it, and then the rest of them take off and go the other direction.
Yeah, they do their own lives.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
and when you make it look easy, which a lot of us do, and a lot of us do that at our own expense because
Mm-hmm.
we want people to think we have it under control, even though our insides are spinning and we're
Yes.
feeling very out of control. People don't know that because we're not sharing that. And one of the things I always tell caregivers, companions, care partners, carers, whatever you want to term yourself, is that you will never be supported if you don't tell the honest truth of what's going on. What are your needs?
Right.
And I think that's one of the things that Rosalynn was trying to, lift up was, you're going to have all these emotions, you're going to feel overwhelmed, you're going to feel joyful, you're going to have all of this stuff going on, and it's okay. We're
Mm-hmm.
here to support you through it. This is normal. But I think when we get that care, when we get assigned to that role, or we take it
Mm-hmm.
on, we don't think it's normal, and we want to be perfect,
Mm-hmm.
especially if it's someone we really love.
Oh
We
my
don't want to
goodness.
let them down,
Absolutely.
and we know there's other eyes looking at us.
Mm-hmm.
And so, to me, I think we still need a lot of work at understanding that caring is it's a natural thing.
Right.
For all of us. Some of us do it better. Some of us don't have that compassionate heart,
Mm-hmm.
which makes it a little bit more different. But we all care in our own way. We're
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
all interconnected, and I don't
Right.
think we necessarily appreciate that or see that all the time.
No, we don't. So, Lori, we have about 30 seconds left in this segment. I want all of our listeners to know a little bit about Alzheimer's Speaks, and what do you do about your podcast?
Well, Alzheimer Speaks, you just go to alzheimerspeaks.com. You can find all our free educational resources. I've been in this space since 2009 because my mom lived with dementia. But even though it's dementia care, caregiving overlaps into all areas of your life. So there's There's all types of things you can access there, from the radio show to other types of videos to tools and tips. So, scroll around and see what's there. We're here to help.
Yeah. And Lori, I love having you on my team. I always say, we're a united front, and certainly I'm honored to share this space with you. And we're going to spend this hour, and Lori and we're going to be talking about caregiving right after this.
We at Answers for Elders thank you for listening. Did you know that you can discover hundreds of podcasts in our library on senior care? So visit our website and discover our decision guides that will help you also navigate decision making. Find us at answersforelders.com.